What a trade deadline we just witnessed. We just saw 2 All-Stars on the Brooklyn Nets get traded in the span of 4 days, and I can't lie, I absolutely love it. The NBA just got 10 times more exciting this season, and the Western Conference is looking like a war zone with how close all the records are. But in this video, I'm going to be going over the top 10 trades in the NBA since 2000. Cue the intro. I just want to give one disclaimer that the players who are mentioned on this list are players who are already proven all-stars. So for example, I'd be excluding trades such as the Luka for Trae Young trade, as they were both rookies at the time yet to make their NBA debut. And also, the order of this list is the impact the star players had on their new team. So without further ado, let's hop right into this list with our number 10 spot, Carmelo Anthony to the New York Knicks in 2011. During his time with the Nuggets from 2003 to 2011, Carmelo Anthony established himself as one of the top scorers in the league, picking up 4 All-Star appearances during his time in the Mile High City. Carmelo also helped lead the Nuggets to multiple playoff appearances, including leading his Nuggets to the conference finals in 2009 as a second seed against the first-seeded Lakers with Kobe Bryant. It was a hard-fought series, but the Lakers eliminated them in 6 games and won the championship that year as well. After a first-round exit the following season, things weren't looking so good for the superstar in Denver. After months of trade rumors, the Nuggets pulled the trigger in the 2011 trade deadline and shipped Carmelo Anthony to the New York Knicks, his hometown team, for players such as Raymond Felton, Wilson Chandler, Danilo Gallinari, Timofey Mozgov, and a few second-rounders and a first-round pick. This was a huge blockbuster trade, as this looked like the trade the Knicks needed, as they now got a duo of Carmelo Anthony and Amari Stoudemire. Carmelo was still a top scorer for the Knicks upon his arrival, but the Knicks got bounced out the first round of his first 2 seasons there. In 2013 though, this would be Carmelo's best year with the Knicks, as he brought them to 54 wins and a second seed in the Eastern Conference. Carmelo also won the scoring title that season and made All-NBA second team. However though, the Knicks would lose to the young Indiana Pacers in the second round in the 2013 playoffs, and Carmelo never reached the postseason with the Knicks again in his last 4 seasons there. Carmelo was a stud his entire time with the Knicks, but his lack of winning and accomplishments during his time in the Big Apple only lands him the number 10 spot on this list. At the number 9 spot, we got Allen Iverson to the Denver Nuggets in 2006. AI, one of the most influential players of his generation, was also one of the greatest players as well. But after missing the playoffs 2 out of the 3 years from 2004 to 2006, the Sixers were looking to move on from AI in Philly, and that was exactly what happened. The Sixers shipped a superstar guard to the Denver Nuggets early in the 2006 and 7 season for Andre Miller, Joe Smith, and a couple first-round picks. The Sixers didn't get that much in return as they were looking to rebuild, but the Denver Nuggets got their second star and had a nice-looking duo with AI and a young Carmelo Anthony. AI had a pretty decent time in Denver as he averaged around 25 points per game his first 2 seasons there, but the Nuggets couldn't make it past the first round in the playoffs and a loaded Western Conference with him, which was the primary reason why they acquired him in the first place. Just like our previous entry Melo, Allen Iverson's time in the Mile High City was nothing short of amazing, as he even picked up 2 All-Star appearances his 2 years there. But his lack of winning and accomplishments there is what holds AI going to the Nuggets at just the number 9 spot on this list. Number 8, we got Kyrie Irving to the Boston Celtics in 2017. Kyrie Irving has one of the smoothest handles and flashiest scoring abilities in the NBA, and his performance in the 2017 NBA Finals was nothing short of that, even though him and the Cavs couldn't pull off the win. But shockingly, Kyrie requested a trade right after the 2017 Finals he just balled out in. This shocked the entire NBA world, as he was teammates with LeBron and was just first in the Eastern Conference. The Cavs shipped off Kyrie to Boston for Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Zizic, and a first-round pick and a second-round pick. This trade looked like an absolute win for the Celtics, as they acquired their new superstar point guard while keeping most of their core and just making the conference finals the year prior. Kyrie's first year in Boston was truly an amazing one, as he put up 24 points per game with 5 assists. Kyrie unfortunately missed the playoffs due to injury, which was a massive blow to the team as they were just 1 win away from the NBA Finals. But the very next season in 2019, expectations for this team were sky high, as their young core of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were only expected to keep getting better and better and keeping their entire main core. But their 2019 season wasn't all that good, as not only did the East stack up on talent with Kawhi in Toronto and the rise of Giannis in Milwaukee, but they only finished the 2019 season with 49 wins after finishing the year prior with 55 and a ton of injuries. The Celtics had a lot of chemistry issues, especially with the involvement of KYRIE there. KYRIE and the Celtics got destroyed by the MVP Giannis in the second round, and with KYRIE being a free agent the following season, the writing was pretty much on the wall for him as he signed with Brooklyn in free agency. KYRIE going to the Celtics in 2017 made this team look like possible title contenders, even with the Dynasty Warriors in sight. And who knows what would have happened if the Celtics were fully healthy in 2018. And now with KYRIE on the Mavs after requesting another trade, let's see what the great duo of him and Luka can accomplish together in Dallas. Number 7, we got Paul George to the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2017 and the Los Angeles Clippers in 2019. Let's talk about PG's time in OKC first. After 7 seasons with the Indiana Pacers and 1 year left on his contract, the Pacers were looking to move PG-13, especially after back-to-back first-round exits. The OKC Thunder were the ones to acquire him, giving up Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis in return. The Thunder now paired Westbrook with another star after KD's departure a year prior, and there was a lot of hype behind this team, especially after signing Carmelo Anthony on top of all that. Their first season together was expected to go better than it did, but it wasn't all that bad as PG put up 22 points and 6 boards per game, but got eliminated in the first round by the Jazz after only getting 48 wins. The very next year though, in 2018-19, the Thunder let Carmelo go, and this was when Paul George played his best basketball in his career. That season he put up 28 points, 8 boards, and a league-leading 2 steals per game. Paul George was truly amazing that season, putting himself in the MVP conversation that year. But even after his career year with Westbrook putting up a triple-double the same season, the Thunder would go home in the first round again to the Portland Trailblazers, and after Lillard's bad shot over Paul George sent the Thunder home. This was a heartbreaking loss for the Thunder, as they had very high expectations that season and got humiliated in the first round. And even though the Thunder's star players balled that season, OKC traded Westbrook to Houston and Paul George to the LA Clippers, and OKC was taking the rebuilding route. Now let's talk about PG's time in LA. The Clippers acquired Paul George from OKC the exact same time they signed Kawhi Leonard from free agency in 2019. And the West looked like it got its new dynamic duo of PG and Kawhi. The Clippers had to give up quite a lot in order to acquire PG, and that cost them Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, 5 first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. Pretty hefty price for PG-13, but Paul George didn't disappoint in LA. George missed his first half of the 2019-20 season due to recovery from shoulder surgery, but came back just like he left off, playing like his all-star self. The Clippers were 1 win away from their first conference finals in the 2020 playoffs against the Denver Nuggets, but they blew a 3-1 lead and missed their perfect chance to 1. Play the Lakers in the very next round in what would have been an all-time series, and 2. Mess up their best chance at winning a championship in franchise history. The very next season though, in 2021, Paul George picked up another all-star selection after missing it last year, putting up 23 points and 6 boards per game. He also made All-NBA third team and helped the Clippers to 4th in the West with a 47-25 record. Mind you, PG and Kawhi only played barely over 50 games. In the playoffs though, this is where PG would shine, as Kawhi went down against the Utah Jazz in the second round with a torn ACL in Game 4. All the weight went onto Paul George's shoulders, and he didn't let down. After being tied 2 apiece against the first-seeded Utah Jazz, Paul George took over the remainder of that series and helped lead the Clippers to their first conference finals appearance in franchise history. There, they would face the Phoenix Suns and unfortunately go home in 6, but PG had a hell of a series, putting up 28 points and 10 boards per game, including a 41-point victory in Game 5 on the road. The Clippers ever since this series really struggled to stay healthy and barely played at full strength. Even though the Clippers gave a lot to acquire Paul George, he helped lead their team to their first conference finals in 2021. Paul George picked up another All-Star nod this season, and what is now Paul George's 4th year in LA, let's see if him and Kawhi could lead the Clippers to a championship this season, because they definitely got a chance if healthy. And especially with the addition of Russell Westbrook now, let's see if the Clippers can win the championship this year. Number 6, we got Shaquille O'Neal to the Miami Heat in 2004. Shaq, one of the greatest big men to ever play this game, didn't have the greatest relationship with Kobe around the 2004 NBA Finals. The feud got so bad between them two that the Lakers had to trade the 3-time Finals MVP, Shaquille O'Neal, to the Miami Heat, and the Lakers got Lamar Odom, Caron Butler, and a couple picks. Looking back at this, the Lakers definitely could have gotten more, but that's the game you play when a star player demands out. SHAQ picked up right where he left off in Miami with his new co-star, Dwayne Wade. In his first season there in 2005, SHAQ averaged 23 points, 10 boards, and got an all-star selection and first team All-NBA as well. The Miami Heat would lose a close series to the Detroit Pistons in 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals, but would get their revenge the very next season. SHAQ put up similar numbers and picked up first team All-NBA again, and the Heat would beat the Pistons in 6 games to advance to the NBA Finals. There they would face off against the Dallas Mavericks, and what a series this was. The Heat lost the first 2 games, but would win the next 4 to capture their first ring in franchise history and the 4th of Shaquille O'Neal's career. SHAQ didn't have the best finals performance as D Wade took home the finals MVP, but his presence was definitely felt in that series, and that trade was exactly what the Heat needed to put them over the top. Number 5, we got James Harden to the Houston Rockets. The Beard, James Harden, taken with the 3rd pick overall in the 2009 NBA draft. Harden was just a rotational player his first couple seasons. Come 2012 though, Harden's game drastically improved and won himself 6th Man of the Year as the 3rd star on the KD Westbrook Oklahoma City Thunder. They would lose to the Miami Heat in 5 in the NBA Finals, but the future couldn't look any brighter in OKC. But at the beginning of the 2012-13 season though, the Thunder were having contract issues with Harden due to the amount of money they could pay him, so they traded him to Houston for Kevin Martin, Jeremy Lamb, and 2 future first-round picks. What a trade for Houston this would be, as Harden would drop 37 points and 12 assists his very first game in Houston, and that was just the beginning. 8 years later, Harden would pick up 8 straight All-Star appearances, 7 All-NBA teams, including 6 All-NBA first teams, and 3 straight scoring titles from 2018 to 2020. Harden also led the league in assists in 2017 and picked up his one and only MVP in 2018. James unfortunately was never able to bring a championship to Houston, as in 2018, his Rockets were 1 win away from upsetting the Dynasty Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. This trade for Houston brought their franchise back to life though, and definitely would have been higher on this list if Harden was able to bring a ring to H-Town. Harden eventually got traded to Brooklyn for a load of picks in the beginning of 2021, but the trio of him, Kyrie, and Durant just didn't work out. Harden requested a trade from there and is now on Philly with Embiid, and let's see if him and Embiid could win their first ring together in Philly. Number 4, we got Anthony Davis to the Los Angeles Lakers in 2019. AD is one of the most skilled big men the game of basketball has ever seen. He could shoot the ball from almost anywhere, can play elite defense, and can even handle the ball exceptionally well for his size. Being the number 1 overall pick in 2012 by the New Orleans Hornets, Davis had high expectations coming into the league, and it didn't take long for him to showcase it. AD picked up 6 All-Star appearances and 3 All-NBA teams during his time in the Big Easy, averaging around 25 points, 10 boards, and 2 blocks per game his 7 years there. However though, due to a lot of bad luck with Cousins getting hurt and not being able to build a contender around AD, Davis was noticeably frustrated with the organization and requested a trade in 2019. The Lakers had a very talented young core with LeBron there as well, and around the 2019 trade deadline, it looked inevitable AD was going to get traded there for their young pieces to team up with LeBron. However though, nothing but talk happened at the deadline, so AD was still a Pelican when he didn't even want to be there. AD ended up sitting pretty much the rest of the 2019 season, as since the deadline passed, he had to wait for the offseason. And in the 2019 offseason, the trade finally happened and the Pelicans got Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and multiple draft picks. AD got exactly what he wanted, to be teammates with LeBron in the city of LA. And in only their first season together, LeBron and AD were playing like lifelong teammates. The Lakers wrapped up the first seed in the West in 2020 after not even making the playoffs the year prior, and made easy work in the playoffs to win their first championship for the organization in 10 years. It only took 1 season for LeBron and AD to win a championship together in LA, and the future couldn't look any brighter for the two of them. But as many of us know, the injury bug would catch the Lakers right after their championship season and hasn't left since, even 3 years later in 2023. Davis has only played 110 games since the 2020 championship, and that's 3.5 seasons combined. LeBron and AD are still balling for the Lakers, but injuries and lack of depth on the roster is really hurting the team. Davis to the Lakers though, in my opinion, was an overall success for both teams, as the Lakers needed another superstar to pair with LeBron and ended up winning their first year together. It doesn't get much better than that. And for the Pelicans, they still have Ingram, who is balling, and still have a few draft picks from the Lakers as well. Even though the Lakers and AD are not in the best position currently, we cannot forget how dominant this team was just a couple years ago, and AD helping bring a ring to LA gives him a well-deserved spot on this list. Number 3, we got Kevin Garnett to the Boston Celtics in 2007. Kevin Garnett, one of the greatest big men to play the game of basketball with his elite defense and his versatile play style. The big ticket was the 5th overall pick for the Minnesota Timberwolves back in 1995, and he was an overall stud there, picking up 10 All-Star appearances in his 12 seasons there. Even though KG loved the city of Minnesota, at 31 years old and the lack of depth on the roster in 2007, the Wolves were exploring options for Garnett to find him a place to win and for them to rebuild. The Wolves ended up trading Garnett to the Boston Celtics for Al Jefferson, Gerald Green, and many more players and picks. This trade was exactly what Boston needed, as they formed a, air quote, super team with KG, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Rajon Rondo. The Celtics took absolutely no time to show off how dominant this core would be as they finished their first season together with 66 wins and first in the Eastern Conference. The Celtics finished off the Lakers in 6 games in the NBA Finals to help the Celtics win their first championship since 1986. KG played a huge role for this Boston team as he picked up the Defensive Player of the Year on the best team in the league and put up 20 points and 10 boards per game in his 2008 playoff run. Garnett would help the Celtics reach another finals appearance in 2010 against the Lakers again, but the Celtics would come up short in a tense 7-game series. KG spent 6 years in Boston and retired shortly after his stint there, but this trade for the Celtics literally turned their franchise around, and him winning the chip his first year there and almost winning a second one helps the big ticket take home the number 3 spot on this list. Number 2, we got Kawhi Leonard to the Toronto Raptors in 2018. Kawhi Leonard, one of the most unique players in the game with his personality and his impeccable play on the court. In the 2017-18 season, Kawhi was dealing with an injury to his quad and only managed to play 9 games for the Spurs that year. Even though nobody really knows the 100% true story, Kawhi seemed unhappy the way the Spurs organization handled his injury, and after the season, the 2-time Defensive Player of the Year and the Finals MVP requested a trade. On the other hand, the Raptors just finished the 2018 season with a franchise record 59 wins and first in the Eastern Conference with a duo of Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. However though, LeBronto would strike in the playoffs again and send the Raptors home in 4 games for the 3rd season in a row. After that playoff exit, the Raptors had a lot of questions about their future as they kept on falling short of expectations. In the 2018 offseason though, the Raptors and Spurs pulled the trigger and shocked the entire NBA world when they traded DeMar DeRozan and Jakob Poeltl to the Spurs and Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green to Toronto. Kawhi only had 1 year left remaining on his contract versus DeRozan's 2 years, but the Raptors went all in as they knew Kawhi was a slightly better player than DeMar and they were hoping he was the piece to get them over the hump. And that was exactly what Kawhi was to the Raptors. After only playing 9 games the year prior, Kawhi put up 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals per game in the 60 regular season games he played with Toronto. He also led the Raptors to 58 wins and 2nd in the Eastern Conference. However though, in the 2019 playoffs, Kawhi was something else. The Raptors faced the 76ers in the 2nd round with Joel Embiid, Jimmy Butler, and Ben Simmons when he was actually good. And this series was one for the ages, as Kawhi single-handedly carried the Raptors, especially in Game 4, and hit an iconic buzzer beater in Game 7 to send Philly home. The Raptors faced the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals, and after being down 2-0 and a hair away from being down 3-0, the Raptors came back and won Game 3 in double overtime, and Kawhi outplayed the MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo to beat the Bucks in 6 games and advance to their first NBA Finals in franchise history. There they would face the Dynasty Warriors, but with KD hurt and Klay getting hurt in Game 6, the Raptors didn't let their chance slip away, as Kawhi and the Raptors finished off the Warriors in 6 games to win their first title in franchise history. Kawhi took home his 2nd Finals MVP, and in that postseason, he played all 24 games and put up 30 points per game, 9 boards, 2 steals, and shot 49% from the field. One of the greatest playoff runs in NBA history, and the only reason he didn't take home the number 1 spot on this list is because he left in free agency the following summer. But what a trade for the Raptors this was overall, as they traded for the superstar they desperately needed and won the championship the 1 season he was there. Kawhi, as we know, went to the Clippers where he still is today, but his tenure in Toronto is forever etched in NBA history and takes home the well-deserved number 2 spot on this list. And number 1, we got Pau Gasol to the Los Angeles Lakers in 2007. Pau Gasol was one of the most decorated big men to play the game of basketball, as he had an efficient all-around game on offense, especially the post, and an elite defensive game. Pau spent the first 6.5 years of his career with the Memphis Grizzlies, where he picked up 1 All-Star appearance and averaged 19 points and 9 boards during his time in Memphis. The Lakers had a 29-year-old prime Kobe Bryant who was having a hell of a season, and the Lakers pulled the trigger to acquire Pau Gasol from the Memphis Grizzlies for only Kwame Brown and a few other role players and picks, which one of them ended up being Marc Gasol. But this trade was a massive win for the Lakers as they acquired one of the best big men in the league without giving up too much at all. As soon as Pau joined the Lakers, he fit in perfectly. The Lakers won 27 of their last 36 games in the 2008 regular season and snatched up the first seed. Kobe Bryant also won his one and only MVP that season, and the Lakers were looking like serious title contenders. The Lakers would come up short in the 2008 NBA Finals to the Boston Celtics in 6 games, but the Lakers played well and they knew they would be right back. The very next season, the Lakers won 65 games and claimed the first seed in the Western Conference again. Pau Gasol picked up his second All-Star appearance, averaging 19 points, 9 boards, and 2 blocks per game. Pau Gasol was a perfect second option behind Kobe, and the Lakers would beat the Orlando Magic in the 2009 Finals to win their first championship since the Kobe and SHAQ era in 2002. Not only that, but Kobe and Pau would repeat the very next season, as they now won 2 out of their first 3 seasons together. The Lakers' three-peat hopes went down the drain when they lost to the eventual champion Dallas Mavericks in the second round in 2011, but after Kobe got injured in 2013, the Lakers' contending hopes with Pau and Kobe were pretty much done. Pau would eventually go to Chicago in 2014, but during his 6.5 years in LA, Pau averaged around 18 points, 10 boards, and 2 blocks per game. He also picked up 3 All-Star appearances, 3 All-NBA teams, and 2 championships as well. One of the biggest trades in NBA history to help a team win multiple championships, and Pau getting traded to the Lakers takes home the #1 spot on this list. Thank you guys so much if you made it to the end of this video. Drop a like and subscribe for more content just like this one, and leave a comment down below any other trades you think should have made this list. I know the Kevin Durant trade just went down, but because we haven't seen KD suit up for the Suns yet, I left him off this list, but he can definitely add himself up here considering how their season goes. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.